In today's video, we're going to talk to you about power pumping. Hi mamas, I'm Maggie from BeauGen. Welcome to Express Yourself, the channel where we share tips, tricks, and all things helpful on your momming journey. In today's video, we're going to talk to you about power pumping. We'll cover what it is, why moms do it, and some simple tips for incorporating it into your pumping routine so that you can get started today. Now in this video, we're just going to touch on the subject of power pumping. There's a lot more information out there, and if you have any questions, we highly recommend that you reach out to a lactation professional. Lactation professionals are full of information, and they're in a live consultation with you. So whereas you're watching the replay of this video, a lactation professional is right there, either in person or virtually, and can answer all of your lactation, breastfeeding, pumping questions. We highly suggest you do a quick search or call your OBGYN to find one near you. Power pumping is a way that moms can use a breast pump to mimic cluster feeding, which is the natural feeding schedule of a newborn. Newborns will have short feeding periods across a short period of time. So power pumping generally refers to a 1-hour session in which you pump, then rest, and then pump again. A lot of moms use power pumping to stimulate their milk production. So cluster feeding in newborns is one way that our child can signal a mom for her milk to come in or to increase in volume. If you're pumping, is likely to have that kind of signal and response. So power pumping is a great way for moms to increase their milk supply or encourage their milk to come in. So why might you need more milk or to encourage more milk to be produced? Some moms might not have their milk come in. I was one of those moms that had their baby about 4 weeks early and my milk just wasn't there yet. So I could have, if I had known about power pumping, used it to encourage my milk supply to come in faster. Power pumping also can be used to increase your supply if you've experienced a drop due to illness, some kind of situation where you've been separated from your baby or are separated from your baby more frequently. Sometimes we go through hormonal changes, which can signal a decrease in our milk supply. Our children can sometimes have trouble with latching, there's nipple confusion, there's a lot of different health reasons why a mom might need to power pump. Additionally, power pumping can be used for moms who are going back to work, where you're going to be separated physically from your baby for longer amounts of time than you might have been during your maternity leave. And then we touched on this before, but exclusive pumping is also a time or reason that moms might use power pumping, like I said, to mimic that natural feeding schedule that a baby has. So power pumping is typically done over the course of an hour, and you do it about 1 time per day. Now, if you're going to start power pumping, you're going to need at least 2 days to see some kind of change in your milk supply. So don't get discouraged if you do it once and then you don't see any change. You might need a few more days of this routine to start to see a change in the amount of milk that your body is creating. Most power pumping sessions happen over the course of an hour, but you can, or sometimes it is recommended that moms go for a longer period of time. So you may want to choose to set a time between 1 and 3 hours where you can dedicate to pumping. Because it can go for, at least an hour or more, some moms prefer to have a hands-free pump where they can actually get some stuff done around the house, maybe do some laundry or do some dishes, clean their bottles, things like that, so that this isn't too intrusive or interruptive in their normal schedule. Okay, so what does a power pumping schedule look like? We mentioned that you'll pump and then rest and then pump and then rest. So what does it look like, right? You'll start pumping for 20 minutes. Then you'll take a break for 10 minutes. Then you'll pump for 10 minutes. Then you'll rest for 10 minutes. And then you'll pump for another 10 minutes. So if you add that all up, that equals about an hour. If you need a longer pump session, we encourage you to reach out to an IBCLC and they can help you set up that schedule of the frequency of pumping and resting and work out all the fine details for you. Some moms who are not exclusively pumping choose to pump on one side, power pump on one side, as the baby cluster feeds on the other side. So this is a way to kind of get the best of both worlds, where you can actually have skin to skin, feed your baby naturally, but also get the benefits of that power pumping schedule and start to increase your milk supply that way. It can be done with a hand pump, but it does take longer. So you'll do, it'll be an hour on one side with hand pump and then an hour on the other. and that can sometimes be exhausting, but it is definitely doable. All right, some myths around power pumping. So if you Google these, sometimes you'll see them, or sometimes these are just thoughts or associations we have in our minds. And the first one is that if you don't see a lot of milk being put out during that power pump, that it didn't work. And this is totally a myth. So you are mimicking your baby's feeding schedule. It doesn't necessarily that your baby is ingesting that amount of milk. Just because you're not seeing a lot of milk in the bottle, you are still getting the benefits. Now, you'll want to do this over the course of a couple days. If you only do it once and then you're done, then yes, the myth is going to hold true in that fact where you don't get that much milk. But if you don't see a lot of milk the first time, relax and try again another day. Another myth is that sometimes we think that power pumping, because we're doing a lot of pumping in a short amount of time, that this replaces other pumps throughout the day. And this is definitely a myth. So you want to shoot for a certain number of pumping hours or minutes in a day. And just because you are pumping a lot over the course of an hour, it doesn't actually replace additional pumps throughout the day. So if you have questions about how to incorporate a pumping power hour or power pump into your schedule, whether you can maybe drop one pump or, do you have to do the same amount? These are great questions for an IBCLC because all of the answers are going to be tailored directly to you and your body and your baby. Another myth is that if you do power pump, that you're taking all the milk away from your baby, and that's just not true. Your body makes milk on a supply and demand basis. So if you power pump, you're signaling to your body that there's an increase in demand, and your body is going to immediately start making more milk. Now, we said you might not see the results after the first power pump, but that's because that's the signal you're sending. Your body is then going to respond. So keep going, keep pumping, and keep nursing that baby. Another myth, and this is a big one, if nothing is coming out, if there's no milk in the bottle, I should stop pumping. And that's not true. This is actually a term in pumping called dry pumping. Like we said, pumping is the signal. It's not a result, okay? So by power pumping, you are telling your body that even though nothing is coming out, there's still a demand. One last pumping myth is that if there is nothing coming out, if there is no milk in the bottle during or at the end of a power pump session, that you should stop pumping. And that is a myth. This is actually a term in pumping known as dry pumping. Remember, the pump and the length of time that you're pumping or the frequency with which you're pumping, that's the signal to your body. It's not actually the result. So we don't want to measure the output when we're power pumping. We're simply trying to tell our bodies that there is more of a demand and we need to create more milk. The pumping is actually going to stimulate more milk production, and then if you pumped later in the day or maybe over the course of the next couple of days, you'd see a response, an increased amount of milk being produced. So if nothing's coming out, you're totally fine, you're not doing it wrong, and there's no need to stop. If you have questions though, definitely reach out to that CLC or IBCLC. Here are some tips from BeauGen on power pumping. One is to have an electric pump. We said before, you can definitely do this with a manual pump or a hand pump, but it's nice to have an electric pump because you're not going to wear your hands out. You won't be tired holding your baby later in the day. It's just nice. Many insurances will cover an electric pump, if not a hands-free pump. So check with your insurance and just see what the offer is, and then you can make your decision about what pump to get from there. Another tip is to make sure the pumping parts that you have are in good condition. So pumps and their various parts will wear out over time. They're not designed to last for years and years and years. So if you're a first-time mom and you've been given a pump, make sure, check it to, try pumping with it once or twice before you just jump into power pumping. Or if you've had previous kids and your pump is a couple of years old, it's a good idea just to check it out and make sure that everything's in working order. You can definitely always buy replacement parts like flanges, tubing, membranes, things like that, but it might be worth looking into getting a replacement for the pump itself if the motor is not what it used to be. Okay, another tip is to get a hands-free pumping bra. You can totally hold your pump to your breast, but if you're going to be doing this for a long amount of time, like 20 minutes on, 10 minutes on, over the course of an hour, you're not going to get much else done, and it might not be as enjoyable of an experience. So getting a good hands-free bra that will hold the flanges and your cushions in place for you during the course of this hour or so is always a helpful tip. All right, another tip from the moms here at BeauGen is to get comfy. Curl up on the couch with a book, maybe put on your favorite show. Pro tip is that most TV shows span the course of an hour, so you can watch an episode of your favorite sitcom, drama, murder mystery, whatever it is, mama, and still get your power pumping in. You can also, pro tip here, incorporate gentle massage. So massage, we did this in another video and we'll link it in the description, but massage always helps, whether you're breastfeeding, whether you're pumping, whether you're power pumping. It helps to stimulate your letdown. It helps encourage milk to flow more freely from the mammary glands through the ducts down through your nipple to your baby or your pump, whatever you're doing. There's also a number of different health benefits. It increases hormone production, which also the prolactin increase can help aid in the increased milk production, which is why we're power pumping. So a gentle massage is something that you'll want to consider incorporating into your power pumping, which also reinforces the hands-free bra tip earlier. And lastly, have plenty of water and snacks on hand. Making milk is thirsty work and it makes you hungry. So make sure that you're stocked up on your favorite treats that are also healthy so that you can keep yourself in tip-top shape for your baby. You definitely, if you don't, you might get run down and just get more tired, and then it saps your nutrition as well. So the better you take care of your body through your hydration and nutrition, the better this is going to be for everybody, including yourself and your baby. Okay, so other ways to incorporate power pumping while you're doing skin to skin, just like gentle massage, skin to skin with baby also increases the production of certain hormones, which either help to relax you and encourage letdown, and also to encourage the production of more milk. So skin to skin is not only good for your baby, but it's good for you when you're power pumping. Another thing to incorporate are, we mentioned snacking in our tips, galactagogues. Now, beyond being fun to say and somewhat of a tongue twister, galactagogues are foods that are simply known to increase milk production. So you can look up, we've got some teas that will help that I'll also link in the description box below, but there are often cookies, snack mixes, and just natural foods that again, help to increase milk production. So incorporate those galactagogues with your power pumping routine. And lastly, breastfeeding. You're mimicking breastfeeding through power pumping. So if your baby is hungry and you want to, you can go ahead and breastfeed on one side while you're power pumping. We mentioned over and over in this video that we highly recommend that you seek out trained lactation support, whether that's a CLC or an IBCLC. We're also here to help you in our BeauGen breast pump cushions. So power pumping, or the number of times you pump in a day, can lead to soreness in your nipples, and nobody wants that, especially when you're trying to increase the frequency of your pump sessions. So we highly recommend checking out the BeauGen breast pump cushions, which is always linked in our description box on all of our videos. And if you have any questions on these cushions and how they can be used with your pump, whether they're compatible, if you can use them with lubrication, all of those, you can check out our blog, you can check out our other YouTube videos, and you're always welcome to email our mommy care team using the email pumped@beaugen.com. Thanks so much for watching this long video. I know that's a lot of information that we threw at you on the topic of power pumping. Watch it again, ask us questions in the description box below, send us an email, but also be sure to subscribe to this channel and click the notification bell, because we've got more great content on this topic and others coming your way. Have a great day, mamas.